All right, this is the second video where I'm going to talk about the creative ad and the refinements that I have to make before I turn it in for my final, okay? Just as a refresher, what you're looking at right here is what I turned in as my draft. I have the 2+ images, the hermit crab, and then the beach picture with the camera, okay, that they're blended together. I have my headline and I have my logo. I turned that in to my instructor and to the VoiceThread critique, and then I got some feedback back. And this is the feedback I got, okay? The first thing that I got was project requirements. I have some of them, but I don't have all of them. So I went back to the project requirements listing and I said, okay, which ones am I missing? And I have the headline and I have the 2+ images and I have a logo. So the things that I'm missing are the 1 to 2 sentences of body copy and the call to action. These are both marketing terms. They may not be something that you're totally familiar with because we don't teach a ton of marketing in this class. But I know you know what they are, so I'm just going to tell you what they are in this video so you make sure you put them into your draft, because you might find that I gave you the same feedback on your draft for your creative ad, okay? The first thing is 1 to 2 sentences of body copy. I was just looking through a magazine today and I saw an advertisement for Honey Nut Cheerios. You guys have seen ads for this. You know that they always push that Honey Nut Cheerios are heart healthy, right? And then lately they've kind of pushed like, it's adults usually in the ads. And then because there's this little like cartoonish bee, right? Then they're always like, oh, it's not just for kids, right? It's heart healthy. It's not just for kids. So, the body copy in the ad actually said, those 1 to 2 sentences that kind of tell me, it said not just for kids, it keeps healthy hearts for everyone too, okay? So you might add a little, it's usually product features, okay? So for this one, I might have written something about like the fact that they sell vintage cameras, they sell lenses, they sell different photography equipment, all that kind of stuff, okay? The other thing that I could say is that these products are available at a lot of different retailers. You could put some prices in there. If you're doing like a car advertisement, you probably will see like the make and model, gas mileage, colors it comes in, that kind of stuff. Some of that stuff's all written in the body copy. It could be something like drive a BMW because the coolest people drive BMWs, or Ford trucks, or whatever car of choice that you love, okay? So the body copy, the 1 to 2 sentences, are going to give us just a little bit more additional detail for the ad. The second thing, the call to action, is going to inspire the viewer to do something, okay? So this is the, for more information, visit www, website address. Purchase your Canon camera at, I don't know, whatever camera shop is your favorite. So, so I'd put at all your local camera stores, or you can purchase a beginner's Canon camera at Walmart or Target or online or at canon.com, okay? So you want to call a call to action. You can also do other calls to action, okay? So the idea that obviously they're going to buy a Canon camera, so it might be a call to action of like, what picture will you take next, okay? So it doesn't have to be so exact. It could kind of give that implication. Of course you're buying my product, so what are you going to do with it, okay? But you always want to give something you're going to spur your viewer into action to do something, which is either to buy or use or continue to use your products, okay? The last thing that I wanted to talk about on this specific thing before I show you the rest of the revisions, when it comes to the reason for the body copy and the headline, is that this all comes into play on a design perspective by something we call informational hierarchy, okay? That sounds really crazy and you don't need to remember the term, but the process will really serve you well. And that is, visually as a graphic designer, we want to take our viewers' eyes and we want to direct them through all of the design so that by the time they're done, they know the exact message we're trying to portray, okay? So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to tell you what the visual hierarchy is, and then you tell me if that's kind of where it goes to. Usually, the things that are most important are the biggest or the boldest, right? Okay, so in this design, the biggest things that you see are the images. Okay, they capture our eyes. We don't have to read. Our brain doesn't have to think. They just automatically see it, okay? So that phrase, images, speak 1,000 words or whatever, photos are worth 1,000 words. That's exactly the case here. That is the biggest way to capture my attention. So the biggest item, the most important, is the images. So you want to make sure your images are telling the story and capturing your viewer's eye. The second thing in a creative ad like this that's really important is the headline or the tagline, okay? The headline, I just have a headline here. A tagline is like another sentence that goes underneath, okay? Before the body copy, which is kind of the details on the product. So for my headline, it's going to be bold, okay? It's going to be bigger. It's going to contrast in size from the body copy. If you have body copy and a headline and a tagline and a website and everything all the same, you have not created informational hierarchy because you're not using the contrasting size and type fonts, okay? So use those design principles to drive my eye to the second important thing, which is the headline. It's going to communicate to me. I'm capturing memories with a Canon camera. Of course I am, right? Because Canons rock. Okay, so that's what I'm supposed to say as a viewer. The third thing that I'm going to drive my eye to is probably either going to be the logo, because we want to make sure 100% that they know they're supposed to buy a Canon, not something else, okay? So that's why my logo is very much in play. And then, of course, because I didn't create that 1 to 2 sentences of body copy and no call to action, then we'll have to add that into the process of how the informational hierarchy works. So with that, let me show you how I started my revisions, okay? See, even my work, whoops, needs revisions. Here we go. Okay, sorry, it took a minute to load. So everything's the same, okay? But I noticed that I didn't have enough space down here in the original to add in the 1 to 2 sentences of body copy and the call to action. So I thought back and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more photoshopping work. I thought back to the worksheet because I remembered that in the worksheet, Brother Libert actually taught us how to extend an image out so we had enough space to create the rest of our ad, right? The place that he did this is the exercise that has that cow, the hairy cow with the big long horns, okay? Remember, we moved the image over to the side after we took out the telephone poles, and then we recreated some additional landscape where we could put the text of our ad, right, to the left-hand side. That's exactly what you're going to do. How he did it was with the the marquee selection tool, and then content fill aware, okay? And then you can also use the clone stamp to fix any little minor issues, okay? So that's what I did. I just went in, I made sure that I knew I needed about that much more space here at the bottom. Let me draw a line so it's really evident. I knew I needed about this much more space down here, and I just did exactly what he did in that worksheet to create more sand, okay? And then I went in and I just used my little healing brush to take care of any little issues that kind of made it look like it had been photoshopped, okay? Then I said, okay, I need to write 1 to 2 sentences of body copy. Now, you guys, I skimped on body copy. Here's my first sentence, okay? Carry it everywhere. Here's my second sentence. Carry a Canon. And then my call to action. Now, remember when I told you about call to action, you can say, go purchase a Canon camera at Walmart or at Best Buy or wherever. Or you can be a little bit more, I guess, mystical about this. Not so direct. Go buy this right now. Instead, I said, what will you capture? Okay, that's my call to action. So I'm saying of course you're using a Canon. What are you going to capture next? Go use it, right? And then here's my logo. Then I stepped back and I had gotten some feedback from peers about some design principles. One person said they really liked the fact that I had paired this font pairing together, okay? The other thing that they had made a comment about was the fact that I had made this handwriting font and it had looked like it was an edit. And because we edit photos a lot, like in Photoshop, that kind of was a cool play on words, kind of a cool idea, okay? The other thing that somebody pointed out was alignment. Remember in our text, center alignment is never always the best. So when I looked at it, I thought, they're kind of right. And at the same time, center alignment is kind of mandatory for the majority of this ad. And here's the reason why. This image is shot all down the center. They aligned the camera placement and the pier to be centered, okay? So my headline's going to need to stay the same because I want to keep with that. I want the repetition to happen. Plus, it also really drives my eye from the pier, this huge beach landscape, down to the camera that took it, down to it can also capture a little tiny hermit crab, all through it. So it supports the informational hierarchy to leave it alone. So was it a good comment from a peer? Absolutely. Do I decide to take it? Nope, not this time. And instead, I write into the project report, this is what was suggested to me. I didn't do it because of this. And then my teacher's like, dude, they've got it, okay? So then I was like, you know what though? What would give some really interesting effect to the very small portions down here? All this carry it everywhere, okay? The body copy, the call to action, and the logo. What I decided to do was to justify the text and then drop the logo so that it was kind of just flush on fully justified here between the text and the logo. And then I decided that I would move the text and the logo together as one element and justify it, see how it aligns right up like that, against the side of the ad so that it lines up though really well with the edge of the headline, okay? And then I obviously wrote that down into my project report because I want my instructor to understand that I know that contrasting alignment sometimes really draws the eye. Okay? The last thing I want to tell you is one random thing, and that is this. When you fill out your project report, be sure that you tell me about all 4 principles of design: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity, and how they come into play in your ad. If they don't come into play, go ahead and write contrast. Didn't come into play, didn't use it at all. There's no contrasting colors. Everything's black. Or whatever it is that you say, okay? But make sure you tell me about it so that I can give you the points that I know that you're thinking through all 4 design principles. In addition, tell me about the type and the color and the photography, okay? You guys are rock stars. I am looking forward to seeing the finals.